It's hard to stop talking when you're talking to people you love and people you meet and people you want to know more about. I know it's difficult, I know. But thank you for taking your seats now so we can get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandra Hughes. I'm your MC for today, and I'm thrilled to be here. Aren't you thrilled to be here? Yeah, come on. We're all thrilled to be here. That's because we love to do things for women, and men too. I mean, we include them. It's a pleasure to be with you again today, but before we start our program, if you could turn our attention to the screens for a video, please enjoy your lunch while you're watching.
Our mission is to strengthen the community for present and future generations. And one out of the many ways Community Foundation does this is through our Women to Women grant-making endowment.
When Women to Women was formed, the idea was to give women the opportunity to do something in their community, not necessarily volunteer, but to be able to contribute to those issues that affect women. Byline for that was the power of the purse. We wanted to give women an idea of where some of their own discretionary funds could go.
Well, I think it's important to me to give to women and to their families, because I think that is at the root of so many of the issues that we have in our local community and frankly nationally.
I think everybody should get involved with Women to Women who can. The Greensboro community, especially our women, has a strong reputation for supporting philanthropy. Giving to women and families is important, not only to myself, but also for Merrill Lynch. Success of women is a priority, and it's ingrained in our corporate culture. To become a founding member for Women to Women came along. We really jumped at the opportunity to partner locally with an organization that exemplifies our core belief in empowering women, enriching their lives and the lives of those around them, their families, their communities, and ultimately creating a stronger economy worldwide.
We have found in these 6 years since we really got underway, we planned for a couple of years and then we really got underway in 6 years, we raised almost $4 million, which is an incredible amount. And that includes donations from over $100,000 to donations of $1 and change. It has been a remarkable success story in our community.
But I'm very excited about looking ahead to the $5 million, and I'm even more excited about our setting our sights on a $10 million endowment, and frankly getting to anticipate what kind of an impact that would have in our communities. And all of those major donors who are participants in the Women to Women have the opportunity to serve on the steering committee, and that steering committee does two primary things. One is it makes decisions as relates to our wonderful annual luncheon that we're enjoying today, and also makes the decisions about those who are the finalists and receive our funding, so it makes the decisions on the grantees. And we also share in evaluating on an annual basis the impact of our work so that we can evaluate and reevaluate what we're accomplishing and look ahead to the future.
It's a wonderful thing to pick out a group that you like to recognize and say good things about, and who better than women? What do you think? Women. Oh, yes, I remember. I'm old enough that when I grew up, you know, women had to step back and let the men take charge. Well, those days are gone, aren't they, women? Already gone. I hope you enjoyed that video, and we welcome you here again today for this luncheon. I have been involved with it for several years, and nothing else I do can compare to this, because I think it's so great that we're doing what we can to make sure women get a step forward a helping hand, a little push from the back, a little pull up from the bottom. It's a wonderful thing. So this for me is extremely special, and I thank you all for letting me do it again. We are thankful for those who have partnered with Women to Women for the luncheon and support from our generous sponsors included. If you would like to hold your applause to the end, I'm going to read out the names of the sponsors. First of all is the News and Record. Well, you can clap for them if you want. Yeah. They do a big, big part. Also, the Newbridge Bank, Ward Black Law, Best Logistics. Then we have Jackie T. Whelan and Stiefel, the YWCA of Greensboro, which is now what the Shirley T. Fry YWCA. Oh, yeah. Yes. I'll tell you, that made my day. Also, the table centerpieces are from Fresh Market Brown, and that's the bronze sponsor. Now I would like for all of the table sponsors or hosts who have listed on the screens and in the video to stand for this program so we can recognize you, the table sponsors. I know we're getting you to applause a lot, but don't stop eating. Just keep eating and applause at the same time. At this time, please welcome the chair of Women to Women and the founder of Genuity Concepts, Misty McCall.
Greetings, everyone. I want to say a special thanks to our silver members as well. Bank of America, Wellspring, Jackie T. Weiland of Stiefel. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I'm Misty McCall, Chair of Women to Women. Donna Griffin, our luncheon chair, could not be with us today, and we wish her a speedy recovery. It has been a distinct pleasure to be able to see what collective giving and high-impact grant-making can do through our 3-year grant partnership with the YWCA's Passion to Purse program. Did you get to see the ladies on the corners of the rooms when you came in? They are here with us today on behalf of the YWCA. The Passion to Purse program inspires and mentors women through the journey of starting micro enterprises. During the first year of the program, 22 women completed 6-week training, and 80% of the women started their own successful micro enterprise. These businesses included industries such as food and nutrition, cosmetology, cake artistry, event planning, childcare, fashion, cleaning, and more. Since 2014, the program has expanded. The program has extended training to 10 weeks and added Saturday enrichment classes that refine skills and offer tools that will make a successful business. The group has naturally turned into a support group, and even those that have graduated from the program support and offer mentorship to the new classes. In our nation, more than half of the U.S. population living in poverty are women and girls. Funding to programs like Passion to Purse is so important. After Women to Women commissioned a study in 2013, economic security rose to the top as funding priority. Women to Women's 3-year multi-investment of $210,000 grant ends this year, and we start the process to determine who will be the finalist for the next year multi-year investment. However, in commitment with our commission, we have continued to award grants to area organizations that stand in the gap for women and their families. I am so pleased to announce today we are granting an additional $70,000 in support of critical local programs for women. Our support this year will go toward the following programs. As I call out your organization, please stand and please hold your applause till the end. $5,000 to Backpack Beginnings Food Pantry Program expansion. $5,000 to Freedom House, the Transforming Lives Aftercare Program, $5,000 to Reading Connections, Family Literacy Program, and $5,000 to UNCG's Center for New North Carolinians, Umoja Women, Women Opportunities for Mentorship and Economic Networking, $25,000 to Queens Foundation, Incorporated, Queens Academy, providing educational and economic solutions for girls, and $25,000 to the United Way of Greensboro, Greater Greensboro's Family Success Center. Please join me in thanking these great organizations for their important work. And all this is made possible because of your generous support in being here today. One such person is our leading sponsor, leading donor, Janet Ward Black. Janet will tell us why she wanted to support the Women to Women group. Janet Ward Black is principal owner and attorney for one of the largest women-owned law firms in North Carolina, located in Greensboro, North Carolina. Her community work, philanthropy, and honors received are extensive, but only a snapshot of her tireless work seen and unseen in the community. And as she comes up, we want to show you a video that illustrates the impact that Women to Women has had since our first grant luncheon 6 years ago. Welcome.
Thank you.
They referred me to Learning Together. I started with Learning Together for like a couple of years. People who like me, like have the same situation like me, learning art class because it helps, especially if you have problems at home, like depressed or whatever you have, it's really help because that's how I try to come out from negative to positive by doing art and being around with people and doing things that is positive and helpful. Because of the money that Learning Art Together received from people who donated the money, that really helped me learning about art, about the colorful and the positive thing in life. It's like you're giving me a life to live and to hope to be a better person.
My name is Sharon Storm. My occupation is a fundraiser, and right now I am the Director of Gift Planning and Major Gifts at Guilford College. Because of the Women to Women grant, I was able to pick myself up from a very dire situation. I was a displaced worker. After 10 years of employment, I was suddenly unemployed. I had been recently divorced and really had nowhere to turn. I thought that would be my last job, so my resume hadn't been updated. I was very comfortable where I was. Not only did I have an organization, but I had a group of women around me in the same position. And when I landed the job, it was supposed to be my last day of class, and we ended up just having a celebration that Sharon had come full circle. And then after being at my job for a year, I was asked if I would be a member of the board, and I was thrilled, because it's something that I believe in. And I felt being a board member would be the next step in that relationship, and I happily took it. And Women's Resource Center helped me get my entire life back on track.
I'm a catering company, and I specialize in doing smaller events such as, birthday parties, graduations, housewarmings for catering and all that good stuff. I will definitely say it has influenced by allowing the opportunity for young entrepreneurs to be able to see that they can make it and be provided with the tools to help them to actually fulfill or go after the dreams that they do have. I have learned so much. I have met a lot of people. I've stepped out of fear in a lot of situations. Since I've been in the program, I've developed a confidence that I didn't have in myself. I didn't really feel like I was, fit to be a business owner. But upon taking the program, I realized that it was in there all along. It just needed to be brought out.
I'm Mary Bryan Stewart of Paleo Log Company. I'm the creator of paleo-based grain-free granolas. I wanted to do something like this, but I didn't know how to go about it, and I wasn't having that much success. Because of the Women to Women grant, I have been able to market my paleo-based granolas and treats to the greater Greensboro Triad area, and hopefully soon into stores and shops around town. I've also developed relationships with other women that are doing this too. And through developing those relationships, we've been able to bounce ideas off of each other. I really like the support of women, supporting women to start developing their passion, to start developing their business. You can work for somebody else, but it doesn't seem to last like it used to.
My name is Portia Shipman. I am the founder and executive director for the Cherie Denise Jackson Foundation for the Prevention of Domestic Violence, Inc. and the Cherie Jackson Foundation with the Women's to Women's grant gave us the opportunity to stay, to speak, and to let people know that domestic violence is no longer be tolerated in our community. We wanted the grant for our Women Empowering Women session. And that grant allowed us to reach women every month through a one-on-one, well, just say a group session that we talked about how women can empower themselves, how they can rebuild their lives, and how their stories can really help someone else. Because a lot of women who were going through domestic violence really didn't have a place to just let it go, just let it flow. And we taught them that they were special. We taught them that they were loved. And we taught them that they have an obligation to other women who don't know themselves because they're going through this right now. They're in the darkness, to actually help them. And that is what the Women Empowerment Session is all about.
It's an opportunity to make your own legacy in this community. And by doing that, even if it's a small amount, it can affect, even if it affects one person or one child, that is an enormous gift.
Women to Women invite you to join in this legacy of giving for women, to women, by women, through women. Please join us in the power of the purpose.
About 4 years ago, I rented a bus and took my staff on a tour of Greensboro. We tried to learn what poverty was like in Greensboro and tried to see what nonprofits were doing to address that population. We went to wonderful places like Backpack Beginnings and the IRC, the Day Center for the Homeless. We went to the Greensboro Urban Ministries and saw the incredible things that they do there. But my staff had questions because they saw at Urban Ministries where there was a place for the men to sleep and a place for the women to sleep, but they said, where do the kids sleep? Oh, we can't have children here. Some of these people have criminal charges or they may have psychiatric issues or other things. So where do the kids go? Well, there are a few rooms at the Salvation Army, but they're just really not a good place for them to go. Later on that day, we learned that there were 2,000 children in the Guilford County school system who were identified as homeless that year. So what about the children, and who's going to do something about it? About 2 years later, the YWCA moved into that space and created a shelter that worked for parents with children. And even last night, over 20 children stayed at the YWCA on East Wendover. But it's only a dent. It's a good dent, but it's only a dent. There are a number of lists I wish we weren't on. I wish we weren't identified last year as the #1 metropolitan area in the United States for food scarcity. I don't want us to be identified as #3 in our state for heroin overdoses. I love Greensboro. I've been here for 24 years, and I have seen our downtown transformed. Haven't you? Do you remember the time where you couldn't find a car downtown after 5 o'clock, and now you can't find a parking space? That's the power of transformation. In my business, we have a wonderful opportunity to find best-in-class nonprofits, but some of you may not have the opportunity to look, to search, but Women to Women does, the Community Foundation does. But I've seen what the YWCA does in leading no and low-income women into self-sustaining lives. I've seen the Queen's Foundation train up teenage girls with social and educational skills to become the first in their families to attend college. I've even heard the squeal when the very first TQF girl not only got into a great college, but got a full scholarship to boot. I've known of how Freedom House helps mothers with children, mothers who have almost lost their own lives to alcoholism or heroin addiction, mothers and their children now on a path to economic stability and successful, healthy parenting. I know the fruit of those nonprofits. Yesterday in the News and Record, there was a book report. It was about a book called America the Anxious. And here's what it says: that the United States is identified in the top developing world countries with the people who are least happy, and that we also rank as having the highest level of anxiety. That's a list I wish we weren't on. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for the political season to be over. I am, amen. I am tired of the anxiety it has created. I am tired of the anger. I am tired of thinking whether I need to defriend somebody on Facebook. I am afraid to run into my next door neighbors because the conversation might turn to politics, and it has pitted us against each other unlike I've ever seen. But today, irrespective of political parties, or what government should or should not do, or what it can or cannot do, we can do something that matters. We can unify together to transform Greensboro in the present and in the future. Government can and will only do so much, but we can invest here today and take control over that worry, that agitation, that anxiousness. We can put a stake in the ground. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Whose cradle are you willing to rock? Is it one? Is it more than one? We are women helping women. We are women empowering women. We are helping to lift all boats higher. You have an envelope in your seat. And I'm not calling upon you to fill it out and put in an amount that is comparable to the cost of your lunch today because somebody else brought you here. What I'm asking is for you to look into yourself and say, what am I willing to invest to make Greensboro what it deserves to be for all people? What am I willing to invest in the lives of women whose opportunities may not have been as great as mine? For some of you, a deep dig may be a month's rent, or maybe a house payment, or it might be the RMD on your 401k, or for others it might be $100,000 or $1 million or $10 million. But isn't it often that the giving that we do is out of our abundance? It is not out of sacrifice. And I ask you today, can we not dig deeper? There was a TED Talk recently by David Brooks of the New York Times, and he talked about the difference between values on your resume or your balance sheet and values from your eulogy. And I say that today we have an opportunity to affect eulogy values, those things that really matter when it's all said and done. For the next 5 minutes, you'll have time to complete the flap on the envelope that is in your chair. If you will raise your hand when you are done, the wonderful girls from the Queen's Foundation in the pink shirts will come up with their purse with a balloon on it for you to put your envelope in. Let's put a stake in the ground. Let's work to get off of those bad top 10 lists, not just for Greensboro, women and children, but frankly, for all of us. Let's put a stake in the ground. Let's prove that we can unify to transform our city, our home. And as it was once said, if not us, who? And if not now, when? Thank you very much.
I'll tell you, that video gets to me every year, and I'm sure if you've been here for many years, it gets to you too. The ladies who are walking around from the Queen's Foundation in the pink shirts with the balloons are collecting your donations, and we don't want that to stop, so keep going. We'll keep going with the program, but you keep going with the donations, because as Janet Ward Black said, those donations are going to make a difference in our entire lives. I have to tell you a funny story. During Black History Month, was invited to an elementary school to speak about being an African American and growing up in this country. And I was telling them, I said, back in the old days when I was a little girl, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. We had a lot of discrimination and segregation, and I couldn't walk over here, I couldn't sit over there, couldn't go through that door, couldn't drink water over there. And then I told them, and then I went to A&T and followed 4 young men downtown to protest the fact that we couldn't sit at the lunch counter. Well, a few weeks later, I got a packet full of notes from the kids, thank you notes. Obviously, the teacher had written on the board, "Dear Ms. Hughes, thank you for coming to our school." Then they had to fill in the next line for themselves. And one little boy wrote, "Dear Ms. Hughes, thank you for coming to our school and telling us about your days in slavery." I wanted to say not then, but now. The second little boy wrote, "Dear Ms. Hughes, thank you for coming to our school. We wouldn't be here today if you and those 4 little boys from A&T hadn't stopped the Civil War." The point I'm trying to make is I'm a very old woman, ancient in fact. So that's why I appreciate so much what you're doing here in 2016, other than what those kids thought I did back ages ago. I want to go back. I want to take a step back. And the sponsors that I mentioned to you before, let me tell you who they're from. Presenting sponsor is News and Record. The platinum sponsor, Newbridge Bank. Dessert sponsor, Ward Black Law. Gold sponsor, Best Logistics. Silver, Bank of America, Wellspring, and the Janet T. Stiefel. The bronze sponsor goes to the YWCA of Greensboro, and the table centerpiece provided by the Fresh Market bronze sponsor. That's those. To present the News and Record Rising Star and Woman of the Year Awards, Advertising Department Operations Manager Keely Duckworth is with us today.
Good afternoon. I am absolutely thrilled to be here today. It is women like those of you in this room, women who do charitable work and have made tremendous contributions to our community, that have inspired the creation of the Woman of the Year and the Rising Star Awards. Uniting the reach and the power of the News and Record and Women to Women, it is our aim to ensure that the women who make the greatest differences are duly recognized. Every year, the nominations include women of exceptional vision who put their compassion into action. Finalists demonstrate acts of generosity, trailblazing accomplishments, making tangible differences in the lives of others, inspirational leadership, mentorship at work and in our community, public policy innovation and development, and fostering advancement in women. The Rising Star Award is designed to recognize young women who have recently begun their journey as a force for change. Please join me in learning about our 2016 Rising Star and how her work provides hope to those in crisis by watching this video.
This year's News and Record Rising Star is the founding director of the Guilford County Family Justice Center. She has been called a dedicated leader when it comes to helping people with domestic violence, sexual assault, and elder abuse. Allow me to introduce to you the News and Record 2016 Rising Star, Katherine Johnson.
Often I get the question of, it must be really hard, or that's a terrible job, and almost people feeling empathetic for me. But I started out my work doing mental health work with victims of domestic and sexual violence, and that kind of feeling of journeying with and partnering with someone who is in a crisis just really connects with me and connects to who I am. And really what this work is about, it's about being in the business of giving hope and providing a space where someone can begin to heal. So the Family Justice Center is really a partnership. It's a center and it's a location, but it's about a partnership. The Guilford County community has been talking about creating a co-located one-stop shop for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, and elder abuse since about 2008. And that partnership and planning that went into creating a vision for how families in crisis could be better served has been going on for quite some time. I joined Guilford County in July of 2014 and was kind of tasked as the first director of the center to take the concept of the Family Justice Center and that vision and develop an operational plan. And so 1 year later, we've served almost, at this point, 15 months in, 6,000 people. When someone comes in and they report being assaulted, what we often will do is address that immediate crisis. So we're going to talk with that person and then connect them to the resources. So that might be law enforcement to follow up on a police report. That might mean meeting with a victim's advocate to do a safety plan and talk about a restraining order. Following up with legal aid to provide assistance with that restraining order process and connecting with the district attorney around a criminal case. So you can see that it becomes very tangled, and that's intentional, so we provide those wraparound services. We try to meet both the emotional needs of families coming in, so if someone has had a history of violence, then we're going to meet that immediate crisis, and then we're also going to connect them with those long-term resources that can help them heal and help their family heal. And so the relationship that we build with clients is often a long-term relationship. So while they may come into the center with one primary crisis, then the partner agencies on site are going to follow those families and support those families for as long as those families request those services. So we know that it's not just a one and done. It's often about building a relationship, and it's through that relationship that healing and moving forward can happen. I had an aging adult come in, and her neighbor brought her in. A granddaughter was assaulting her grandmother, and she decided she had all she could take. She was taking her money, and at the end, the grandmother, who was on a walker, put her hand on my shoulder, and she said, "You know what the word is?" I said, "What's that?" She said, "The word on the street is that you people give hope, and you just gave me a lot." And she patted me on the shoulder, and she rolled herself right on out. And when things like that happen, when they like I said, they happen often at the Family Justice Center, it's this dose of goodness that the systems are working well. And there have been many a time when the Family Justice Center was in the process of developing, before those doors even opened, and on the day we opened, I thought to myself, how are we going to do this? And I would drive home and think, when this works, and all of these people involved in these various systems are better served, thousands of lives are going to be saved. And we've done that thus far. Thousands of lives have been impacted as a result of really hard work and really intentional work to make things better for our community. And that's the good stuff.
Congratulations, Catherine. Each year, a panel of judges is organized by the News and Record and the Community Foundation to select the Woman of the Year. You have seen their names in the program today, well-respected individuals representing a cross-section of our community. These judges had the difficult task this year of making a choice among many well-deserving nominations, and the recipient of the Woman of the Year award will receive a $5,000 check to donate to a charity of her choice. This generous grant is made possible by an anonymous women-to-women donor. This year's Woman of the Year has brought visionary change to our community. This video that we're about to see will reveal our winner and how she transformed the lives of many in Guilford County.
This year's Woman of the Year has spent her entire career working with those who are living in poverty. She's been described as fierce and open-hearted when it comes to helping those who are homeless. Let me present to you the News and Record 2016 Woman of the Year, Michelle Kennedy.
I really believe that if we have opportunities to try to give back to the community. And I think everybody's had a time in their life where things were difficult or really hard. We've all had our struggles. And I was really lucky in the fact that whenever things were difficult in my life, I had a group of people around me who always kept me from falling in the moments where I couldn't do that for myself. And so it feels like natural work to me. And I really believe that it's what we do for other people, not without them, but in community with them, that really makes change in people's lives. The decision to join the Interactive Resource Center was really an easy one for me. It's an organization that I believe was built with the best of community in place. It was a grassroots effort that involved everybody across different spectrums of our community to determine what was best for our neighbors who were most in need. The IRC serves people experiencing homelessness or people at risk of becoming homeless. 100% of the people we serve are living below the poverty line. So these are really folks in our community who have the least amount of resources available to them, the least amount of access available to them, and about 90% of the people we serve are literally homeless. There's a lot of communication within the homeless community, and word travels fast among that community about what you can receive at the IRC. We believe in an integrated care model. We believe that you bring in partners from all over the community and you have as many resources in one place as you possibly can. So a person doesn't have to unpack their life story in 15 different places to receive services. So we have deep partnerships with schools like UNCG and A&T and their Congregational Social Work Education Initiative, which place social workers in the community with us. We have a medical facility on site. We don't believe in duplication, we believe in leveraging. We believe if everybody does their job and they do it well, and they partner with other organizations that do other parts of the work, we're giving the highest efficacy we can to the clients we serve. We have projects for assistance in transition from homelessness, which is a 5-person street outreach team who literally are in tent encampments in abandoned buildings, under railroad overpasses, finding people who've never accessed the traditional system, people with the highest mental health acuity. So they're out doing that work every day, and we've had that team, we've had it for a year now, and that's a pretty amazing portion of what we're doing now. I believe the IRC is just an extraordinary organization. I have an amazing staff, frontline workers and managers who put their heart and soul into the work that we do, and this work is really taxing. It's taxing on you emotionally, it's taxing physically. You see people at the worst points of their lives. You also get to see people find moments of hope for the first time in years. So I always say that I have the easy job. My job is to support the people that do the hard work. I get to go places and talk about the work we do, envision the work we do, and the amazing staff that I have is who really makes all that possible. To me, the issue of homelessness is one of the most important social issues of our lifetime. Being able to be part of a system that's trying to make a dent in homelessness in our community is the work of my life, and I couldn't imagine anything that would feel more important to me or I would be prouder to be a part of. And I also really think that one of the ways that we change all the things that we see in the world that we want to be different is realizing that we're the ones we've been waiting for. And the more of us who lend our voices to the issues that we face as a community, the more likely it is that we'll change those things.
So inspiring. Thank you, Michelle. On behalf of the News and Record, I would like to thank Women to Women and the Community Foundation of Greater Greensboro for our continued partnership. We also thank you for joining us today and celebrating the greatness of women. Thank you.
How wonderful it is to see someone who may be your neighbor, your friend, someone you met down the street receive these kinds of awards from all of you. So thank you all for thinking of them. To present, let's see, we've heard the great things happening at the new YW. Have you seen it? Seen the new YW on Lindsay Street? Wonderful. When I was a teenager, my first dance that I could go to at night was at the YW. Of course, my father stayed outside and worked under the hood of his car while I was inside. That wasn't pretty embarrassing. But anyway, we've heard about the great things happening at the YW under the leadership of the next woman, who is CEO of the Shirley T. Fry YWCA, Lindy Garnett.
You never know where I'm going to show up. Thank you. I am Lindy Garnett. I'm the CEO of the Shirley T. Fry YWCA, and I got to tell you, it gives me goosebumps every time I say that. I'm going to go off script just for a minute here to say that I got to tell you, I am so proud to live in a community that includes people like Janet Ward Black, Shirley Fry, Katherine Johnson, and Michelle Kennedy. So on behalf of the over 1,000 girls and women and families that the YWCA Greensboro serves each year, our staff and our board of directors, I want to thank the Women to Women Foundation for having the confidence in our organization to fund our Passion to Purse program. You've heard about the program several times today. We've got some vendors in the back. It's a great program, and it's only been possible because of Women to Women, and for that we are extraordinarily grateful. It's my pleasure today to introduce our keynote speaker. Dr. Dara Richardson-Herron is the CEO of the YWCA USA. Dara started there in December of 2012, and she has more than 20 years of leadership and management experience in healthcare and in the corporate and non-corporate sector. Dara has a list of awards that would take me all day to tell you about, so I'm not going to go through all of them. One of the ones that I found impressive is that Dara was named one of the 21 leaders for the 21st century. She has gotten the YWCA into the White House, into the halls of Congress, and has really put the YWCA USA on the map as an organization that is on the move, is helping women and families, and is making a difference in our country today. So with no further ado, I would like to introduce Dr. Dara Richardson-Herron, the CEO of the YWCA USA. Give her a Greensboro welcome.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Lindy, and thanks also to you, Board Chair Tiffany Lamb Balfour, and the entire YWCA Greensboro Board and staff for the outstanding work each of you are doing to enhance the lives of so many women, girls, and families right here in Greensboro. You know, last evening, exactly 2 years to the date of the grand opening in 2014, I had the opportunity to tour the beautiful facility yesterday, and it's an amazing venue representing a new chapter in the organization's history. And Ann Hummel was one of the first people I met when I walked in the door, and how fitting is that? Because as chair of the Capitol campaign, many of you know that Ann was largely responsible for doing much of the heavy lifting to make sure that the $2.3 million renovation of the new building was such a tremendous success. And I just want to personally thank you for your leadership, but I also want to thank you for being such an amazingly humble and generous supporter of our YWCA. And during my tour, I had the distinct opportunity to meet a husband and wife team who were referred to our YWCA Greensboro by law enforcement after they were found sleeping in their car right here in Guilford County with their 5 children. And it's because of the amazing support of our YWCA leaders, and very importantly, because of the support of incredibly generous people like those of you right here in this room today. That family is now thriving in their own home and working together every day to change the trajectory of their lives. And each and every time I visit one of our 233 YWCAs across the nation, I hear a story about how lives are changed because the YWCA was in that community. And truly, each time, I am energized. And while I know this isn't a YWCA commercial, I just have to take a moment to say, if you're not currently involved or engaged with one of our YWCAs, I urge you to join our movement. I'm confident you'll be glad you did. And you know, one of your honorees, Michelle, I talked to her earlier today. She got her start at the YWCA, and we take full credit for her, just so you know. And I also want to say that your rising star, your star has risen. You are amazing, and it's such an honor to be in your presence. You know, I want to thank the Greensboro Community Foundation President, Walker Sanders. I want to thank the staff, the board, the leadership of the foundation. I want to thank the event chairs. I want to thank Christy McCall, and most importantly, the illustrious leaders of the Women to Women Endowment. I want to personally thank you for your warm hospitality during my visit to your beautiful city. I've had a fun-filled and action-packed visit, which began yesterday with Gordon Sinkson, Chief Development Officer, who was kind enough to personally meet me at the airport and take me to the hotel. I got the news from Gordon that I passed a test that I didn't even know I was taking. You'll have to ask him about that. I had a wonderful lunch at the O. Henry Hotel with Lindy, Gordon, and 3 amazing members of the YWCA team. And we decided that what goes on there and what went on there would stay there. I then went to a reception at the YWCA, and I had the distinct pleasure of meeting many of the Women to Women Endowment founders and leaders. And certainly after speaking to these women, there's no question why the endowment is so very successful. And I had the awesome honor of meeting the incomparable Shirley T. Fry, a legend in her own right. Ms. Fry, I want to thank you so much for your amazing leadership and support. In just the few moments that we spoke, she shared a story with me about her pen collection that I will never forget. Ms. Fry, you are a true trailblazer, and we are so very proud that your iconic name graces our YWCA Greensboro building. Thank you for all that you do. And it's as if that wasn't enough, the evening was topped off with absolutely delicious hors d'oeuvres and a decadent desserts with descriptive names that can't be repeated in polite company. You'll have to ask someone about that. I'm just, that were made by women who are the beneficiaries of the outstanding YWCA Greensboro Passion to Purse program, supported by the amazing $210,000 Women to Women Endowment Grant. What an amazing day it was. And truly the exemplary vision to create a permanent endowment and grant-making fund created by and for women to inspire hope and make substantial contributions to the lives of women and families in the community is just outstanding. Many of you may already know that Women to Women is Greensboro's first permanent grant-making endowment engaging women to help other women, but when I learned that they decided to honor our YWCA as their largest and first multi-year grant to support its awesome Passion and Purse program, I knew that I had to be here today. And you know, my schedule last year didn't allow me to join you, but Ashley Wiley, development officer at the foundation, made sure that she locked me in more than a year in advance to make sure that I'd be here this year, and I'm glad she did. Ashley, thank you for your leadership. And it's just an honor for me to be here today, and it's also quite humbling to be amongst all of the other prestigious and powerful presenters who have graced this event over the past few years. Names like Lisa Ling, Dee Dee Myers, Erin Brockovich, Gloria Steinem, Jane Pauley, and Lee Woodruff. Now, that's a lineup that I actually want to be in. And just look at this room, filled with so many extraordinary women, opinion and thought leaders, mothers, sisters, aunts, daughters, students, business and professional women, volunteers, community leaders, and the next generation of trailblazers, women from all walks of life who are on a mission to make the world a better place. You know, I might as well just start right out by saying that in my most objective opinion, I think that women are extraordinary. Now, I know you probably think that I'm biased because I just happen to be a woman and because I am the CEO of the oldest and largest multicultural women's organization in the nation, but I really can step outside of myself and think objectively, and when I do, I come back to the same conclusion. Women are extraordinary. I agree with Dee Dee Myers when she says women should rule the world. And ladies, why don't you give yourselves a rousing round of applause? You deserve it. Now, Walker's right here. I see him right in front of me, and I've seen a lot of really seemingly good men in the room this afternoon. So men, let me just be clear. We think you're awesome. We think you're good. We're happy that you were brave enough to come into a room filled with hundreds of women. So I promise you, we will not mistreat you. We have no intention whatsoever of mistreating you. But I want you to remember, this is the 7th annual Women to Women Luncheon, and I am the CEO of the YWCA. So it's really all about the women today. So let me get back to my original point. Women really are just extraordinary. We're extraordinary despite the fact that the cards are not always stacked in our favor. Our super extraordinary powers are evident not just in the way we lead our families, but they're also abundantly clear in the way we lead in the workplace, in schools, in our churches, in foundations, in our businesses, in Congress, in everywhere. It's no question that women exert tremendous power and influence as leaders and role models right here in Greensboro and all around the world. We always have, and we always will. And I'm sure that many of you will agree that it hasn't always been easy, but what I love about extraordinary women is that we have all traveled different paths to find our power, our influence, and our impact. Indeed, our prescriptions, if you will, are not exactly the same, because in order for them to have maximal impact, they must contain key ingredients that are unique to our own personal circumstances, our own personal experiences, our own missions, our own passions. So I was asked to provide some insights into my personal and professional leadership journey and also share a bit about the life-changing impact and vital importance of women's economic empowerment and philanthropy to help us all get closer to a world where there is peace, freedom, dignity, and justice for all. So let's get started. During my research and preparation for this event, I learned that Lee Woodruff, last year's speaker, entertained, engaged, and inspired participants by providing insight into the 4 F's of recovery: family, friends, faith, and funny. And yesterday, Ashley gave inspirational remarks at the reception about the importance of the 3 L's: leadership, legacy, and love. I actually had the honor of speaking at a TEDx lecture a while back on the topic, A Prescription for Extraordinary Women in Leadership. And I spoke about the 3 P's: patience, perspective, and perseverance. So let me tell you a little bit about the first P, patience. Well, patience is definitely a virtue that apparently we aren't all born with, or let's just say that I was not. My parents told me that by the time I reached the ripe old age of 2, I thought that I was already prepared to wield power and influence as a leader, and I am told that I took every opportunity I could to try to lead my 2 older sisters and my parents. But they didn't cooperate, and I wasn't happy. But as extraordinary women, we know that patience is critical to our success. We often have to start our day, sometimes even before we leave home, by taking a huge patience pill. And then we almost certainly have to take a couple of patience pills to get us through the day, and then again, when we get home from work, we'll likely need another one. And in addition to keeping us from losing our minds, our jobs, or running away from our husbands or partners, oh, did I say that out loud? Oh. Yikes. But these patience pills give us the ability to deal with the many frustrations and obstacles that we as women face at home, in the workplace, and quite frankly, in life, due to the many gender inequities that still exist in our world. The second P I spoke about is perspective. Every extraordinary woman, no matter how extraordinary you are, you cannot survive with a healthy dose of perspective, or should I say endless doses. If we didn't have perspective, the inequities, the challenges, and the enormous obstacles we still face as women would almost certainly prove to be far too overwhelming. And don't even get me started on this one. I can get on a soapbox, but I'm going to save it for later. The third P is perseverance. No matter how patient, talented, intelligent, kind, or extraordinary we are as women, at some point in our lives, we are going to be faced with unexpected personal and professional setbacks that will rock us to our very core. But when, and I do mean when, we transcend and persevere, instead of allowing these setbacks to defeat us, we can use the obstacles to help build our character, strengthen our resolve, and elevate us to even greater heights. And while the 3 Ps I mentioned are all important, I could have just as easily spoken about many other key ingredients that might be found in one's own personal prescription for success. Ingredients such as priorities, the professional and personal goals we set for ourselves, people, sponsors, mentors, role models, people who are not afraid to challenge our thinking, and members of our own personal and professional board of advisors who help us along the way. Or I could have even spoken about passion. But whether it's patience, perspective, perseverance, priorities, people, or passion, the key ingredients in our own individual prescriptions will vary from time to time in our life and careers, because we all know that life is a journey, not a destination. And I'm confident that every extraordinary woman and man in this room has their own personal prescription and personal journey. And I'm just going to take a few moments to share a few pivotal moments from mine. So earlier I mentioned that by the time I reached the ripe old age of 2, I was confident that I could will power and lead my 2 older sisters and my parents. And I still don't know why that whole thing went so terribly wrong, but that's water under the bridge. But even though my judgment as a 2-year-old was totally off base, fortunately for me, my parents felt that I had great potential. They didn't attempt to stifle my leadership aspirations, and they didn't call me a bossy girl. But instead, they channeled my activities, and most importantly, they themselves demonstrated leadership skills for me to model. They led by example because they were keenly aware that children do indeed learn what they live, and they knew that if they wanted to succeed in developing a woman with a mission, they would need to teach some valuable leadership lessons to their then 2-year-old daughter, who didn't quite understand at the time that in order to be an extraordinary leader and a woman with a mission, you must be literally and figuratively out of diapers. Now, these early lessons that I learned from my parents, who were my first role models, became my foundation, and these lessons have stayed with me throughout my life and career, and you'll be delighted to know that I did, in fact, graduate from diapers. Then I went on to graduate from high school and college and medical school, and ultimately, I achieved one of my dreams, which was to become a physician. And as a physician, I always knew that I wanted to make a difference beyond what I could do in a typical medical practice. So after my medical training, I took a bold, non-traditional approach and accepted a position as a staff physician at a major New York City Fortune 500 company. And because of my performance and achievements, I was quickly promoted to executive medical director with the responsibility of leading a team of physicians, nurses, and allied health professionals in 3 medical clinics, providing regulatory, preventive health, disease management, and wellness services to over 16,000 employees. And in this role, I not only practiced medicine, but I also learned important leadership, business, financial, human resources, and management skills, all of which have been invaluable to me during my career trajectory. And while in this position, I also met the sweetest guy in the world, Earl, who became my husband in August of 1997. Earl and I were truly on the mountaintop after our beautiful wedding, and the view was awesome. But just one short month after our wedding, our lives together took a very unfortunate turn. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and we were both devastated. You know, it was surreal. I was writing thank you notes for wedding gifts and fighting for my life, all while big clumps of my hair were falling out as a result of the medical treatments that would ultimately save my life. And you know, initially I cried, and I constantly asked the question, why me? How could this be happening to me? I was at the pinnacle of my life and career. It seemed so unfair. I felt so powerless. And then one day, I had an aha moment, and instead of asking the question, why me, I began to ask, why not me? What makes me think I am so special that I should be exempt from life's challenges and setbacks? And at that very moment, I shut down my private and, might I add, very unproductive pity party and began to realize that sometimes when life throws you a very unexpected curveball, you have to put on your big girl pants and figure out how to catch it. And I also realized that you have to learn how to use your inner strength, power, and resilience to help you keep going, to help you persevere, particularly during unbelievably challenging times. And when, and I do mean when, you get to the other side of the tragedy, you can use that experience and stamina you gained to propel you to even greater levels of success, both personally and professionally. And I did just that. I stand before you today as a 19-year and counting breast cancer survivor. My challenge, thank you. My challenge and my devastating setback helped me get ready for a major comeback, so that I would be fully prepared to do the work that I strongly believe I was put on this earth to do, my personal mission, my calling. And in the words of Winston Churchill, mountaintops inspire leaders, valleys mature them. And let me be clear, my experience with breast cancer was a real valley experience. I definitely matured in ways that were unimaginable before then. And while I would never, and I do mean never, wish this experience on anyone, I can assure you that my valley experience made me a better person, a better wife, a better friend, and a better physician. And this experience also helped me to fuel my passion and further refine my mission and calling as a leader. During the conversations I am fortunate to have with women across the nation, I often share that many of us are guilty of taking life for granted and not spending enough time living in the moment. A Wharton professor, Adam Grant, so eloquently said, and I quote, "So often we focus on the things that are absent from our lives, overlooking everything good that's present," end quote. And sometimes as women, we spend a lot of time lamenting about the things that are not perfect, but you know what? Life's not perfect, that's just a fact. And we also casually use the phrase, tomorrow is not promised. And believe me, before my valley experience, I was just as guilty as anyone. But when you've actually stared death in the face as I have, these words have so much more meaning. And no doubt, it took me a while to learn these lessons and to see the positive in my setback, but when I did, I realized that I was allowed to remain on this earth so that I could use my skills, my education, my experiences, my expertise, my power and influence to significantly enhance the lives of others. That's my calling, my mission, and my passion. And you know, the word passion guides each of our lives daily in so many ways. According to Webster, passion is defined as, and I quote, a strong feeling of enthusiasm or excitement, an intense driving or overmastering feeling or conviction, a strong devotion to or about doing something, end quote. Our personal passion impacts what we do every day, and it also impacts how we put into action what we believe in, how we live out our own personal values, our own personal mission or calling. And I firmly believe that in order to excel in anything, you must be passionate about what you're doing. When you're passionate about what you're doing, you are much more excited about getting out of bed every day. You're more creative. You feel like you're making your mark on the world, and you're willing to work overtime because you know that what you're doing is truly making a difference. And after my experience, I decided I didn't want to waste any more time doing things that were not aligned with my personal mission and passion. In fact, I intentionally began to search for professional leadership opportunities that aligned with my mission. And I've been very fortunate to have wonderful opportunities to do so. I was first blessed with the opportunity to serve as Chief Medical Officer at United Cerebral Palsy Association, where I designed, developed, and implemented innovative programs and services and provided high-quality health care and used my power and influence to serve as a national advocate to enhance the lives of people with severe cognitive and physical disabilities. Truly one of the most rewarding experiences of my career. And another wonderful opportunity to fuel my passion and achieve my personal mission was when I was recruited to serve as the CEO of the Greater New York City affiliate of Susan G. Komen for the Cure, which became the largest Komen affiliate in the world during my tenure. In this role, I was able to share my personal breast cancer story and use my knowledge as a physician, combined with my passion to eradicate a disease that had impacted my life, to promote breast health, education, preventive health, and wellness opportunities via local and national television appearances and other venues, reaching millions of women across the nation. And while my tenure with Komen was extremely rewarding, one of my most heartfelt and memorable moments came after I announced that I had made a personal decision to leave the organization. I received a flood of cards and calls and emails and notes, many from individuals with whom I had never personally met, but all of them saying that something I did or said saved their life. That experience provided me with a clear and strong reminder of the fact that what you do for others, how you interact with others, how you present yourself in this world, and how you pay it forward is extremely important. You may never know the full magnitude of the impact you can have on another person's life. And now I have the distinct honor of leading the YWCA of the USA, one of the world's oldest and largest multicultural organizations, the 25th largest nonprofit in the nation, serving over 2 million women and girls annually. At the YWCA, I not only utilize my leadership skills, experience, and expertise to impact the health and wellness of women and girls across the nation, but I also have the opportunity to work with our national team and local associations across the nation to positively impact women, girls, and families in myriad other ways, including high-quality, affordable child care, health and wellness services, job training, leadership development, refuge from homelessness and domestic violence, helping them to achieve equity in all areas, and most importantly, providing women, girls, and families with the tools they need to achieve economic security so that they can maximize their potential to lead healthy and productive lives. And this role is the embodiment of my personal mission. And when I took the leadership position, the organization was going through significant transition. And while I knew full well that the task might prove to be challenging, I was not daunted because I didn't just see the challenge. I saw the opportunity and, most importantly, the responsibility to lead and revitalize an iconic and historic organization that has enhanced the lives of millions of women, girls, and families for well over a century. And although tremendous progress has been made, it's hard to accept the reality that despite the tremendous gains achieved by organizations like YWCA and many others, the fact is, although women and men are indeed created as equals, we know full well that women are not treated equally in American society, or for that matter, anywhere in the world. Despite the wealth of data that makes it clear that women are extraordinary, and despite clear data that shows we know how to get things done, we can all provide many real-life experiences and actual data to support the fact that women do not have an equal opportunity for success and achievement in this world. I had the pleasure of speaking at an event to launch the No Ceilings report commissioned by Hillary Clinton, Chelsea Clinton, and Melinda Gates a year ago. And the fact is, more than 2 full decades after the 1995 Beijing Declaration, where Senator Clinton gave a widely heralded speech declaring women's rights are equal rights, where there has indeed been some progress as it relates to the plight of women, we are definitely not there yet. The gains are clear, but the gaps are clear. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm just going to give you a few pieces of information for consideration. The percentage of female CEOs in the Fortune 500 actually dropped to 4% in 2016. It had only been 5%, so we can't afford to go backwards. Numerous studies have shown that corporations with 3 or more women on their boards are more successful overall. So the economic argument is there, but still only 18% of board seats in the United States are held by women. Female lawmakers represent about 20% of the total Congress, far less than the nearly 51% of the US population. And we regularly talk about the importance of having more women entrepreneurs, particularly in STEM fields. However, there's a 2014 Babson College report on women entrepreneurs, and it revealed that from 2001 to 2013, only 2.7% of the 6,517 companies receiving venture capital financing had a female CEO. Still today, women account for only 15 to 20% of the top positions in nearly every single sector across the United States, and the Equal Rights Amendment, drafted in 1923, still has not passed. It has a simple core. Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. It's been offered in every session of Congress from 1923 to 1972, when it actually passed, yet it fell 3 states short of ratification, and it's been reintroduced every year since 1982. And there's a huge push again now, but to date, there's still no ERA. And President John F. Kennedy signed the Equal Pay Act in 1963, calling it a first step. Yet more than 50 years later, a significant wage gap still exists between the pay for men and women doing the same jobs. And in the United States, women are getting more high school and college degrees than men, and still women are only paid 78 cents for every dollar earned by a man, and that number is significantly lower for women of color. I had the opportunity to go to a comedy show, and I saw Wanda Sykes about a month ago. I think she got it right. She said this, and I quote, and these are her words, not mine, but I happen to like them. She said, "Forget about equal pay for equal work. Honestly, women should make way more than men because they need more stuff, more clothes, more shoes, more makeup, more hair, more accessories." I have to agree with Wanda. But in all seriousness, unequal pay limits a woman's ability to properly care for her family, and it has a snowball effect with decreased pensions, decreased Social Security payments, and it may ultimately keep women from achieving economic security for themselves and their families. Right here in the Greensboro area, according to the most recently available data from the Institute for Women's Policy Research, while women and girls in the Greensboro area and in North Carolina as a whole have made much progress during the last few decades with higher levels of education and employment as a whole, as you well know, not all women in this area are prospering equally. Many women in North Carolina are still lagging behind, and the gender wage gap still persists in Guilford County. Child care costs are high, and many women lack basic work support such as paid sick days, paid leave, and all of these things very negatively impact the woman's long-term economic security and overall well-being. And moreover, and more importantly, regardless of whether women live in Greensboro or any other city in our nation, no matter where they sit on the socioeconomic landscape, regardless of their religion or race or hair color, women face an onslaught of everyday aggressions that only rarely impede on the lives of men. And at a meeting I attended at the United Nations, it was shared that if we keep moving at the pace we are moving as it relates to parity for women, it will take 81 years for women to reach full equity, 75 years for women to achieve equal remuneration, and more than 30 years for women to achieve gender balance in decision making. This is just unacceptable. At this rate of full equality and participation for women in the world, it won't happen in many of our lifetimes. Now, I know many of you are now saying to yourselves, well, we were initially very excited about inviting her to our town to serve as a keynote speaker, but did she really come all the way from Washington, D.C. to depress us by delivering such bad news? And the answer is no, but I think it's important for me to share this information with you to make it perfectly clear just how extraordinary each of us as women really are to have achieved so much despite what appears to be a systemic or institutionalized practice to limit our advancement in society. And you know what's most disturbing to me? Women have been extraordinary for a long time. We can all think of women who have had an impressive impact on the world. Think about the first female candidate for president of the United States. And no, I'm not talking about Shirley Chisholm in 1972, and I'm not talking about Hillary Clinton in 2008 and 2016. I'm talking about Victoria Claflin Woodhull, an American leader of the women's suffrage movement in 1872. That's right, 1872, just think about that. As early as 1872, Woodhull became the first female candidate for president of the United States. She was bold enough to be nominated as the first female president in 1872, long before women in the United States had the right to vote. Now that's what I call a true trailblazer. You know, I just have to say it again, women are just awesome, and we've been awesome for a long time. Just think about the power and influence of women like Janet Yellen, Liberia's Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, South Korea's Park Geun-hye, Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany. And since we're in Greensboro, I have to celebrate the 4 amazing Greensboro women, Louise Brady, Lisa Bullock, Ann Lineweaver, and Linda Sloan, who established the Women to Women Endowment. That's right. We all owe them a huge debt of gratitude for their exemplary leadership. It's quite clear that they are trailblazers who have used patience, perspective, perseverance, and passion to implement innovative and creative ways to address the needs of women right here in the Greensboro community. I want to thank these ladies for making collaboration, teamwork, excellence, impact, and paying it forward the standard, not simply the goal. And truly, many fabulous women have made an intentional decision to use their extraordinary leadership and positions to make the world a better place, despite the roadblocks and obstacles they faced. In a way, they are mentoring all of us as we reach the pinnacle of influence in our lives and careers. And like my parents, they are leading by example. And I can assure you that they have all had their personal prescriptions for personal and professional success, and I'm certain that they all have a story to tell. They fought hard and earned the right to lead with integrity, power, and influence, and it's up to us to learn from their experiences. It's up to us to expand upon their vision to help women make a better lives for themselves, their families, their communities, and our nation. Certainly, the outstanding members and leaders of Women to Women are leading the charge. And as many of you already know, the fund has already surpassed its initial $3 million goal, and they're moving towards a $5 million march. And I'll bet you once they fulfill the $5 million, they're going to keep going, because these women are dedicated and powerful. And I can unequivocally attest to the fact that they're brilliant because they selected our YWCA as the first. I mean, we know that already. And that program has been outstanding. You saw some of the women on the screen. But it's already served 49 women, and 42 of those women have completed the coursework, and they're already actively engaged. In the first year of the program, 80% of the participants successfully started their own business, and more than 50% of those businesses are already making money. That's a big deal. And that's money well spent. And certainly the Women to Women Endowment members have helped numerous other great organizations to enhance the economic independence for women and their families by working toward systemic change and assisting women in building their own capacity to increase their income, increase their preparedness for the workplace, and to provide economic stability for their families. This outstanding group of women leaders, they're using their talents and treasure to raise awareness of the many issues women face. And in just 6 years, These awesome women have worked collaboratively to raise enough funding to provide transformative grants designed to make substantial and impactful contributions to the lives of Guilford women and their families. Very few organizations can tout such an outstanding track record of success in just 6 years. It's just amazing. You may know that the 2016 Giving USA report revealed that 2015 was America's most generous year ever, with $373.2 billion raised. 71% of that was given by individuals like each of you here today. And that's why Women to Women is so important. More than 80 women have already become leading donors of the Women to Women Fund, and countless others have contributed significantly to the endowment. And in this room of, looks like to me, over 500 women, there are at least 499 more women who should be donating to that group. Please join them so that they can achieve their pursuit to make it possible for women of all walks of life to achieve the American dream that we all hold so dear. And as so eloquently stated in the Greensboro Community Foundation Women to Women website, women are caring, women are powerful, and women are the answer. Truly, women have and always will continue to play an integral part in the great success of our nation and our world. So as I close, I just want to thank the founders, the current and the future donors of the Women to Women Endowment of the Community Foundation of Greater Greensboro. I want to thank all the sponsors and each of you here today for everything you have already done and will continue to do to enhance the lives of women, girls, and families in your community. You have a remarkable record of achievement, and we all celebrate your legacy of leadership. And you can certainly count on me to continue to be an advocate for women's equity and economic empowerment. And thanks to the strong foundation I received during my formative years as a Barnard College student, you can also count on me to continue being a strong leader who is determined to change the world and the way we think about it. And you know what? I challenge each of you to do the same. I challenge each of you to find your own passion, to think about what you can do to change the world and the way we think about it. Each of us, we're here at this moment, this time, to embark upon our personal journeys, to learn, to grow, to mature, to find our passion, our mission, and our calling, and to achieve our personal and professional goals, and most importantly, to use what we have learned to go out and make our own mark on the world, and in so doing, enhance the life of others. In the words of John Maxwell, and I quote, "Success is when you add value to yourself. Significance comes when you add value to others," end quote. No doubt, by supporting the Women to Women Endowment and supporting the amazing and life-changing organizations they are funding, you are definitely adding value to others. So I thank you again for your time, for being here today. Thank you in advance for your continued support of the Women to Women Endowment and our YWCAs, and most importantly, thank you for being extraordinary men and women on a mission. Your very presence and generosity today and every day will ensure a brighter future for millions of women and families right here in your own community. But most importantly, your presence here today will undoubtedly transform and save lives. I do hope that something I've shared with you today will fuel your passion, empower, motivate, inspire, and light a fire within each of you to rethink possible and not just imagine, but actually do what you can to create a brighter, peaceful, and more equitable world for women, girls, and families. It has been my absolute pleasure and an honor to share this afternoon with you, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
I don't think I have to ask you if you're inspired. I don't think I have to ask you if you're motivated. I know you're all of that. So please keep that tucked into your heart and your head, and as we continue through this year, coming to the next Women to Women. I want to thank you all for coming here today and supporting Women to Women. Again, thank you Women to Women sponsors and the table hosts that we introduced a little bit earlier. Now, take a look at your program. If you have a colored dot on your program, you get to take home the beautiful centerpiece. Okay, well, obviously someone has. I want to tell you now, I'll tell you, these flowers get you revved up, don't they? Let me tell you now that if you have not turned in your gift, once again, if you have not turned in your, wow, these flowers have them on the ball. Okay, we'll get everybody flowers. Sorry, Ashley. And if you have not turned in your gift yet, there will be volunteers at the door with purses to receive it. There are also going to be volunteers in each corner of the four corners of the room to take it in. I also want to tell you that Keely Duckworth says an 1808 magazine is in the lobby if you'd like to pick up one of those. I think they're absolutely wonderful. Be sure to check out YWCA's Passion to the Purse Entrepreneurs. Once again, they're in the corners of the room and outside. Thank you all for coming, and I hope you had a great time.